It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Vibhuti Jha, who is Executive Director in Nalanda International, USA. In 1991, he worked in leadership role with the American Express Bank to build and develop Indo-US business relationships. He obtained his undergraduate degree with majors in economics and minors in politics and psychology from Fergusson College, Pune, and his master's is in economics. He got his inclination towards understanding of Indian culture, its rich tradition, values, and Vedic heritage. He participated in the PBS Live program on Asian Indians in America, speaking on Indian culture, traditions, and values. He is a committed practitioner of transcendental meditation for the past 30 years. So please welcome Dr. Vibhuti Jha.
Most welcome, Jasab, and it is always a pleasure and honor to invite you to speak on the topic spiritual governance, ethical leadership, and moral responsibility. All stage is yours.
The stage is mine. All right. Thank you very much, Vikrantji. And it is a special pride for me to be associated with the movement that is United Consciousness right from the inception. And I'm delighted to see the way this movement has carried forward globally. And I'm very enthused by the response of various practitioners and people who are interested in knowing about the spiritual path. So my topic is already known to you, and I'm going to talk about it in these 10 minutes about spirituality, ethics, and morality in our life. Now, remember one thing. Life is all about you and I as individuals, and we live in societies and communities. But the responsibility begins with us alone. And one thing I wanted to definitely clarify, that spirituality is not something esoteric, unimaginable, unreal, or not livable, or meant only for monks and spiritual leaders who live in mountains or practice bliss in its own way. It is a practice of life. Spirituality is a practice of life. And where does it come from? It cuts across all boundaries of restrictions, mandates, and encourages us to treat ourselves with respect and dignity and acceptance of every single individual in nature, in world, in the universe, and life around us. That's the important element of spirituality. If God created this universe, then He created us as well. And He created life-sustaining forces. So where do we go from here? Many a times people confuse, and I see this very often. Oh, if you are spiritual, that means you are not religious. And it is important distinction to make. You can be spiritual without being in religion. And we can be very spiritual despite being very deep in religion. And that it is all about behavior, conduct, and life, the way you treat it. So today, in this short time, I would focus on the possibilities that you and I can live, how to be spiritual, ethical, and moral in our behavior and conduct. And I want to introduce another word here, dharma and adharma. This is very important. Dharmic behavior and adharmic behavior also run concurrently in our life. You see, intellectually, instinctively, and intuitively, we all know when we are doing the right thing and when we are not doing the right thing. I won't say wrong thing, but not doing the right thing. Whether it is in thought, deed, and action. And how do we make sure that we are able to conduct our behavior in a manner that is a standard for me? Because everything begins from me and ends with me. So think about it from this point of view. What exactly do you control in your life? Nothing really, except for your own self. your own behavior, your own conduct towards life coming towards you. When the life is coming to you, then you realize that your response to life, to events, determines the next course of action. Spirituality doesn't mean that you are sitting in absolute bliss and samadhi to attain nirvana. It is about behavior, conduct, and ethics in daily life. And this is something which is important. In the previous session, Vikranji summed up by saying the simple things in life are beautiful. He was talking about aloha, the Hawaiian experience. I've been to Hawaii and I know it is beautiful. Point of the matter here is that when we intellectually, instinctively, and intuitively know what we are doing the right or not the right thing, that's the time when we have to begin to understand life the way it is coming to us. That's what is important. Practice of life. How do we do it? And for that, you have to remember there are certain virtues and values that determine our course of action. So there are certain standards of values which are key to our success in life. Maintaining my own integrity is in my control. Maintaining a truthful behavior is in my control. Maintaining a trusting relationships is in my control. Being honest with things around me is in my control. Being accountable for all my actions makes me responsible. And when you begin to believe in these values, you attain a state of mind where nobody can shake you. Spirituality makes you stronger in mind. And there are tools that make you stronger. All these values that I talked about just now, these are attainable. These are doable. And you attain those things by doing certain practices. And those practices relate to meditation, yoga, and pranayama. Meditation, yoga, and pranayama are the tools that will make you mentally very strong and spiritually very powerful. So, what we see in the world today, I'm not talking about the politics, the war which is going on in Bangladesh and Ukraine and Russia. The whole world seems to be at war. People are threatening that there is a possibility of a third world war. We are not talking about that. I'm talking about what is important for us. It is individuals who stand up. This is where the leadership is born. And global leadership is trying to contain the conflict in its own way. You cannot contain the conflict if you are not spiritually aware about the existence and acceptance of other people. This is critical. So, what my suggestion to you is in this limited time that I'm talking about is spirituality, ethics, and morality. Ethics and morality are not political punchline words, they mean a lot. Everybody wants everybody else to be ethical and moral other than myself. It is very convenient for people to blame others for their problems. That's why you take responsibility. And I want to suggest to you that if you begin to practice the values of integrity, maintaining your own integrity, truthful behavior, trusted conduct, honesty in your own dealings, accountability for your own actions, responsibility for your own behavior, and you begin to believe in these values, you attain a spiritual strength of mind through meditation, yoga, and pranayama. Breathing is critical, and that's what is important. These things make you stronger in life. And that's what is critical for all of us as we move forward. With these words, I wanted to say if you begin to practice these, life becomes easier, it becomes simpler. Many years ago, I realized that honesty is not the best policy, it is the only policy to be followed. You know the reason why? Because once you are honest, maintain your high level of integrity, you sleep well. Ever thought about that? You don't lie to anybody. You don't have to don't have to protect and defend any lies. Ethics is morality is all about maintaining a dignified behavior, dignified respect for all life forms. So with these words, I want to say, let's all become spiritual in our pursuit of common happiness, universal concerns, and unite in our consciousness to realize that we are all the same. Our ancient scriptures say, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Yes, it is about the family, but it is more than family. In my interpretation of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, in this God given world, we have the same sun, same earth, same water, H2O, same CO2, same O2 that sustains our life. Think about it from that perspective. That's the world we live in. The sun doesn't have any stamp of ownership by anyone. The moon, the planets, water, air doesn't have ownership of anyone on that. With these words, I say thank you and best wishes for a very united life.
Thank you very much, Jha Sahab. It's always treat to the soul listening to you. You mentioned about how spirituality, ethics, and morality are connected. You invoked the discussion of dharma and adharma. You also invoked the discussion of being spiritual or being religious. And you rightly said that intuitively, intellectually, and instinctively, we all know when we are right and we are not. And you said spirituality has to be brought into behavior and conduct. And these values are to be lived in. And for that, tools you suggested is meditation, yoga, and pranayama. I very much loved the way you mentioned that honesty is not the best policy. It is the only policy. It is so profound. And you concluded yourself with invoking the feeling of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Only this is the way where we can all remain in peace like family. Thank you very much, Jha Sahab, for being a part of this grand family.
Thank you. My honor.
I thank Dr. Vibhuti Jha for such a valuable explanation.